So, welcome back for another day of 115. Hopefully, you're doing well. Today's not really a big day as far as the class goes. You know, what we talked about in the videos wasn't really so much code based, but more just a matter of demonstrating how we would actually take an app and make it live. As such, most of the topics are, how to purchase a domain name. You go on the web and you use your credit card. How to get how to find a server that you can use, things like that. So not quite the same type of content. Hopefully still interesting, still important if you try to set up a web app. The one thing that we did talk about, and that is kind of related to other course material, was the certificate, the security that you can get in order to use HTTPS. So one example of a site that I just figured I would use as a demonstration that has HTTPS is actually Replit. So if you look right now in the screen, you should be able to see the REPL that I have set up for me. If I have the mouse go over it, and I'm not sure how well this is seen in the YouTube video, but there's that little lock icon that says that we're using HTTPS. If I keep my mouse over it, it says verified by Cloudflare Inc. And so what that's telling you is that the certificate authority, the person who issued the certificate, company that issued the certificate for Replit, was Cloudflare Inc. And if I actually click on it, it will bring up different sort of information. Clicking on that connection secure, it will bring up even more information. It's a really long process. Eventually, though, if I get into the link, I can bring up the actual certificate that was issued to this site. And that's what I've done now. So now what you can see here is the Replit certificate. This obviously isn't the raw certificate. This is the way it's done. So you can see that the issuer for this certificate is Cloudflare Inc., that they're in San Francisco. This is all actually in the certificate. That this certificate that they're using for the encryption for Replit was created on the December 3rd, 2019, and will be valid. All certificates have a start date and end date. It will be valid, or typically do, it will be valid through October 9th. This certificate is usable on REPL.it and any site with this star.repl.it, any site that ends REPL.it. Then what we have down here is all of these certificates, right? We're going to use them to encrypt traffic to and from the server. So in order to work, of course, we need to have some sort of key that will be used for this encryption. Because we don't have it set up ahead of time, we don't have a shared key, we'll have to use public keys. So all of these certificates use public key encryption. The algorithm that this one happens to use, the certificate will be using, is a process called elliptical curve. This is a process where you compute, I'm not a math person, somehow using the curves of ellipses magically works. It's very powerful. It's actually the more modern technique. The key size is 256. That means 256 bits wide. And if we want, this is actually what the public key is, and it will go on. In addition, we can actually download this PEM file. I just clicked on that, which you guys can't see. Let's see if I can open it up. See what happens if I try to open it up in the web browser. It won't let me open it up. I'm trying to open it up. It won't display the contents, unfortunately. Actually, if I do this, if I rename it, because it is just a text file. So you can see that that certificate, this is the, the public certificate. This is the sort of data that we were sending when we were doing that encryption between the server to the client. So you can see this is the certificate, the public certificate that the server will send out. In addition, there's this chain, and that is going to be, frankly, me being unable to use my mouse. That is another set of certificates showing why we should trust this one, right? All this is, right, we have a certificate here. We have no reason to know that that's valid, though. This could be from anywhere. What we want to do is we want to be able to trust that certificate, and that's what that chain does. You can also see here, to make sure that we're using the correct certificates, they have actually 2 hash codes available. And what this is this is the hash code, the fingerprint of that certificate. So that way, if somebody was giving us a dummy certificate, we'd be able to know, and we can make sure that it's correct. So the other thing it happens to include is what the authority info is. So where this certificate comes from, right? So we can see that who this was being, provided by, who the certificate issuer is, who is going to verify that. We can see the policies that were being used. And if we go on, we can see the embedded certificates. But note that not only do we have one from Replit, so it scrolls back up, but we also have one from Cloudflare. So remember, Cloudflare is the company that issued the certificate to Replit. So part of what we do is this idea of the web of trust. In order for us to believe that the one for Replit is valid, we need to make sure that the one that was issued correctly. So Cloudflare issued it, and so you can see we have the same sorts of information here from Cloudflare. We can go on, it's a little bit simpler. And you can see that Cloudflare, in fact, was also issued a certificate. It was issued a certificate by Baltimore Cyber Trust Root. And so we can even look at its certificate, which was included there. And now this is a simpler certificate. You can see it's lasted a long time. And the idea is this is a certificate authority. This is one of those root authorities that that everything comes with, that our browser came with and our operating system comes with this certificate so that we know to trust it. So it is sort of something that the entire web has gotten together and said, we can rely on this one. And so it can issue a certificate to Cloudflare. And then Cloudflare will turn around and use that ability to issue a certificate and sign the certificate from Replit. So we're going to trust the Replit certificate because we trust Cloudflare. We trust Cloudflare because we trust that Baltimore Cyber Trust Root. And we trust that Baltimore Cyber Trust Root because because there's a lot of checks that go on for that, and it's built into our operating system, built into our browser. So it is unlikely, if not impossible, for that one to be compromised. And there are some times, it's a very rare occurrence. There are some times when one of those sites will get compromised, when someone will hack into it and either steal some certificates or generate their own signed certificates that they can use. And in those situations, if you think about your browser gets updated fairly regularly, or your operating system gets updated, sometimes what they will do is remove that invalid certificate. So you would no longer trust it. Your computer would know not to trust it. So, we can do that's one process. If we go to, the University of Buffalo, which of course is not using secure. Really, Buffalo? UB? What happens if I go to HTTPS? There we go. If I go to the secure site for UB, you can see we're going to get the same sort of idea. I can view UB's certificate. Here's your UB's. You can see it's using a different set of authorities. Its certificate was actually issued by InCommon RSA server. And this is a certificate authority. So this is actually the central certificate authority that would actually also have someone signing it just to keep that trust going on. And this is one for the internet too. So a fancy one. And you can see that this certificate is usable by buffalo.edu, anything.buffalo.edu, and then they list all of the different departmental sites. And well, we have a lot of departments here. All sorts of different sites that we could have that go along with this. And some of these I'm kind of curious about what they are. But now you can see the UB site uses RSA encryption. Note that the key size here is much, much bigger. This is a 4096-bit key, so a much bigger thing. But again, it also uses that hashing, that fingerprint, in order to make things work. And this is the way that the internet works. This is the way that everything happens to go together. We're going to trust one another because we're going to build up this web. And so, anybody can create a certificate. You can create a self-certificate, but then you wouldn't have that web of trust. And so that's how the internet sort of works. So that's really the only big new web-based material. What I want to do now, and just see if there's anybody who has questions, actually I'm going to keep those up, and this is what we're going to be doing actually on Friday, is just seeing if you all have any questions. If you note, the name today is a general live QA. So if you have any questions right now about the course, about the final exam that's coming up, about anything, this would be a great time to ask. I've got all of my REPLs up. Anything else, please type in your questions right now in the chat and I will answer them as best I can. Okay, it doesn't seem like anybody has any questions. So I will actually end this video now. Like I said, there isn't that much here. Just so that if anybody's watching this before Friday, on Friday, what we're going to do is a final exam live Q&A. I will have, I have all of the lecture slides. I have all of the REPLs. I have all the material. That would be an excellent time to, if you have any questions about the final exam itself, about course content for the final exam, about anything else course related, that would be a great time to ask that. But that, like I said, will be on Friday. Other than that, that's pretty much all for today. So thank you all very much. Hopefully you're getting this time. Remember to try to use there are the sample exam questions, sort of give you an idea of the types of questions that could be asked, the range of questions that could be asked. They're available in UB Learns. So, secretly, not so secretly, part of what I'm doing is I was actually doing this right before this stream went live. I'm actually going through and looking at all the answers just to make sure that when the time comes for that final exam, I can write the test and actually write the thing that's checking your answers in such a way that I get as many possible answers as can occur. So, doing my best for that. So anyway, thank you all very, very much. If you have any questions, feel free to post to Piazza. I will have office hours in about 45 minutes on WebEx, or hopefully I can answer your questions on Friday. Thank you. Stay safe, stay healthy. Hopefully you can have a little bit of fun. Bye.